In the heart of Cusco, Peru, the capital of the mighty Inca Empire in the 15th and early 16th century, stood the Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun. Its walls were covered in sheets of gold. Inside its sacred courtyard was a breathtaking ceremonial garden where life-size statues of every plant, every animal, and every shepherd were crafted from solid gold and silver. To the Inca, gold was not ordinary wealth. It was the sweat of the sun itself. Roughly 3,000 years earlier, in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, a young pharaoh named Tutankhamun, who ruled around 1332 to 1323 BC, was buried inside 3 nested coffins. The innermost one was a single shell of solid gold weighing 110.4 kilograms. The ancient Egyptians believed gold was the actual flesh of the gods, especially the sun god Ra. Half a world away, the Greeks told stories of King Midas and the Golden Fleece. Across cultures separated by oceans and thousands of years, with no contact between them, the same powerful idea emerged. Gold could not possibly be from this earth. They were wrong about the gods, but they were right that it came from the sky. By the end of this video, you'll understand why every ancient civilization independently reached that conclusion. You'll witness the 2017 event where we literally watched gold being born. You'll discover why 99% of Earth's gold is trapped forever beyond our reach. And you'll learn the surprising reason gold shines yellow, because of Einstein's relativity. So, let's find out where gold actually comes from. First, let's understand what a star is. A star is a constant battle between 2 forces. Gravity pulls everything inward, trying to crush it. But the star's core is so hot and so pressurized that nuclear reactions push outward. For most of a star's life, these forces are balanced. Those nuclear reactions are called fusion. Fusion takes small atoms and smashes them together to make bigger atoms. Hydrogen fuses into helium. Helium fuses into carbon. Carbon fuses into oxygen. And every time fusion creates a heavier atom, it releases a burst of energy. That energy is what pushes outward against gravity. Stars keep doing this, building heavier and heavier elements. Each step releases energy. That energy keeps the star alive. But fusion hits a wall at iron. Iron is element 26 on the periodic table. When a star's core turns to iron, the fusion that kept it alive for millions of years stops working. Fusing iron does not release energy, it consumes energy. It steals energy from the star. Without that outward push, gravity wins. The star's own weight crushes it inward. It collapses, and it dies. This is the key limit. Stars can only build elements up to iron. Anything heavier, including gold, which is element 79, requires conditions far more extreme than what happens inside ordinary stars. Ordinary stars, including our Sun, can never produce a single atom of gold. Why? Because the Sun is not violent enough. The core of our Sun burns at about 15 million degrees Celsius. That is hot enough to fuse hydrogen into helium, but not nearly hot enough to build heavy elements like gold. Building gold requires temperatures in the billions of degrees. It requires pressures trillions of times greater than anything inside our Sun. Our Sun is a gentle, steady burning star. Gold is not made in gentle stars. Gold is made in explosions. So let's find out how and where those explosions happen. You need an extremely violent process called the R process, rapid neutron capture. In simple terms, you have to slam enormous numbers of neutrons into an atomic nucleus so fast that it can't decay before it becomes a much heavier element. This requires insane densities of free neutrons, densities that simply don't exist in normal stars or anywhere calm in the universe. You need somewhere deeply unreasonable. That place is a neutron star. A neutron star is what remains when a massive star dies. It can contain roughly the mass of our Sun, all crushed into a sphere only about 10 miles across, roughly the size of a city. A single teaspoon of its material would weigh around 1 billion tons. When two neutron stars spiral toward each other and collide, they smash together at roughly 1/3 the speed of light. The forces are so extreme they actually warp the fabric of space-time. On August 17, 2017, at 12:41:04 UTC, we finally witnessed exactly that. The event, known as GW170817, took place in the galaxy NGC 4993, 130 million light-years away. This means the collision itself happened around 130 million years ago, when dinosaurs still roamed the Earth and humans did not yet exist. The detection was extraordinary. LIGO and its European partner Virgo recorded the gravitational waves. Just 1.7 seconds later, NASA's Fermi Space Telescope detected a short burst of gamma rays from the same location. About 11 hours after that, optical telescopes found the source, a powerful explosion called a kilonova. For the first time in human history, we watched gold being created in real time. As the afterglow of this kilonova faded over the following days, it shifted dramatically from bright blue to red. That color change was the radioactive glow of heavy elements, including gold, being forged and decaying right before our eyes. Lead astronomer Ryan Foley captured it perfectly. We are seeing the heavy elements like gold and platinum being made in real time. Peer-reviewed models, including work by Cote and colleagues, estimate that this single collision produced between 3 and 13 Earth masses of gold, several Earths worth created in seconds. Neutron star mergers are now thought to account for roughly half of all elements heavier than iron in the universe. But in 2025, the story gained a surprising new chapter. Astronomers went back and re-examined old data from a powerful 2004 flare from the magnetar SGR 1806-20. What they found was shocking. The proof had been hiding in 20-year-old data the entire time. That single flare produced enough heavy elements, including gold, to form a planet the size of Mars. Researchers now believe magnetar flares could contribute up to 10% of the heavy elements in our galaxy. So, gold is born in cosmic violence. But how did any of it end up here on Earth? New evidence published in the journal Science suggests that shortly before our solar system formed 4.5 billion years ago, a rare cataclysmic event, likely a neutron star merger, scattered heavy elements into the molecular cloud that would become the Sun and planets. The gold in your wedding ring was already floating in space before the Sun even existed. Yet when Earth formed, almost all of it disappeared. Gold is what geologists call siderophile. It loves iron. During Earth's early molten phase, heavy elements like gold mixed with liquid iron and sank with it toward the center in a process called planetary differentiation. More than 99% of Earth's gold is now locked in the metallic core, roughly 1,800 miles beneath our feet. There is enough gold down there to cover every continent in a layer 50 centimeters thick. Temperatures in the core reach 4,000 to 6,000 degrees Celsius. We've never drilled deeper than 8 miles. So where does the gold we actually mine come from? The answer is the late veneer, a thin layer of material delivered by asteroids and comets after the core had already formed. This happened during the late heavy bombardment, roughly 3.8 to 4.1 billion years ago. We have direct proof. In a landmark 2011 study published in Nature, researchers Wilbold and Elliott analyzed 3.8 billion-year-old rocks from Isua, Greenland. These rocks contain a special fingerprint. They have a higher ratio of tungsten 182 to tungsten 184 than modern Earth rocks. Tungsten 182 was only produced in the very early solar system. The ancient Greenland rocks preserved the composition of Earth's mantle before the late veneer arrived. The meteorites that later bombarded Earth had a different tungsten isotope ratio. When they mixed into the mantle, they changed the overall ratio to what we see today. Every piece of gold humans have ever touched fell from the sky long after our planet was born. Even today, a tiny trickle of gold from the core may still be slowly rising through mantle plumes beneath places like Hawaii. And sometimes cosmic violence not only delivered the gold, it preserved it. Around 40% of all gold ever mined came from a single region, South Africa's Witwatersrand Basin. About 2.7 billion years ago, ancient rivers washed gold particles out of rocks and concentrated them in layers of sediment. Over time, those layers should have been completely eroded and washed away by wind and rain. But 2.02 billion years ago, something extraordinary happened. A giant asteroid, between 250 and 300 kilometers wide, slammed into the region. This impact created the Vredefort crater, the largest confirmed impact crater on Earth. The enormous collision tilted the gold-rich rock layers upward and shielded them from further erosion. Without that second asteroid strike, the world's richest gold deposit would likely have been completely worn away long before humans ever existed. Cosmic violence delivered the gold. A second cosmic violence preserved it for us. If you want to learn about the first humans who shaped this sky metal, including the man in grave 43 who might have been history's first wealthy person, comment Marinov below, and we will make a video about the Varna gold treasure. But before we continue, there is one more strange thing about gold itself. Why is it yellow? Most metals are silver gray. Gold is golden yellow. The reason is not ordinary chemistry, it's Einstein's theory of relativity. Gold atoms are very heavy. Their inner electrons move at nearly half the speed of light. According to relativity, this extreme speed changes how the electrons behave, causing the metal to absorb blue light and reflect yellow light instead. Without relativity, gold would look silvery like other metals. The golden shine that ancient cultures called divine is literally a visible effect of Einstein's equations. Now, consider Isaac Newton. The man who discovered gravity and invented calculus was obsessed with gold. He spent far more of his life trying to turn other metals into gold through alchemy than he did on physics. He wrote over 1 million words on the subject and kept most of it secret. Even after his death, much of his alchemical work was hidden because it didn't fit his image as a pure scientist. In a strange twist, modern physics eventually did what Newton dreamed of. At CERN's Large Hadron Collider, scientists have turned lead into gold. By stripping 3 protons from lead nuclei in near-miss collisions at 99.999993% the speed of light. They produced just 29 picograms. It cost 1 trillion times the market price and lasted only microseconds. Here is the irony. The alchemists spent centuries trying to turn lead into gold by adding a magical ingredient, the philosopher's stone. They thought they needed to add something, but nature does the opposite. To turn lead into gold, you don't add, you remove 3 protons. They had the direction wrong for 1,000 years. But getting the science wrong did not stop gold from shaping human history. Sometimes it shaped it in the darkest ways. In 1532, this power of gold revealed its darkest side. When Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro captured the Inca emperor Atahualpa, the ruler offered to fill an entire room with gold and 2 more rooms with silver in exchange for his freedom. The Inca brought sacred treasures from across the empire, including golden sun discs and life-size statues from the Coricancha Gardens. The Spanish melted it all down into plain gold bars. What the Inca saw as the literal sweat of the sun, the Spanish saw only as money. An entire civilization's spiritual wealth was reduced to raw weight. This is the eternal contradiction of gold. The Inca saw gold as the sweat of the sun. The Spanish saw only money. The difference between wonder and greed is not in the metal itself. It is in how we choose to see it. If you found this video interesting, subscribe for more stories about the science and history of our world.